I'm Denny Fleener, and we're at the Taste of WSU at Benaroya Hall 2008, and with me is Phil Waite with the Department of Horticulture and Landscape Architecture. Phil, why don't you tell me what you're displaying at this year's event?
What we have here is there were 3 greenhouses that had been built in 1951. They were old, they needed to be replaced, the university paid for new ones. And it was actually Dr. Rollins, the past president, who said, why don't you take that site where the greenhouses were and make it a display garden for horticulture and landscape architecture. So we started working on this about 2005 or 2006, and we developed a master plan, and then every year, the planting design class, a design build class, and a horticulture class tackle another piece of this, designing it. They do the construction documents, they cost estimate it, they schedule it, they order the materials, and then they go out and build it. And there's absolutely nothing that can substitute for the practical hands-on experience that a student's going to get when they get to build something like this. The other really positive thing is that every time they come back to campus, they're going to take their children there and their spouse and their parents and say, look what we did. So they have an investment in the institution. There's not another class in our program and not another class on campus where they get this kinds of hands-on, very practical experience where they're actually building something that they designed.
Well, and I would assume for the students, this is quite a nice thing to put on a resume when they get into the real world.
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of our students do end up in design build. There's lots of different ways to deliver a project. The traditional way is fairly linear. You have a client who hires a designer, and then after the drawings are done, the design is complete, then a contractor is hired. And the designer ends up kind of stuck between the client and the contractor. In a design-build methodology, the designer and the builder are one. So the design can move forward much faster. The design is put in place with a high level of understanding about constructability. So they know exactly how to do what they're designing and how to build it. So the client gets a better product, they get it faster, and they get it cheaper. So that's why most of the industry, both architecture and landscape architecture, is migrating very distinctly toward design build. One resource I read said that by the year 2014, 50% of all architectural projects will be delivered on a design build methodology. So what this class does is teach them design build from the ground up. We're also focusing on sustainable design. So we're using plant materials that don't need a lot of irrigation. They're drought resistant, they're cold hardy. We reused all the existing stem walls from the old greenhouses. We didn't tear all that out, we reused that. We're using porous paving so that the rainwater can soak in and having less waste in the construction process. Dr. Floyd, his parking space is about 30 feet away. And every time we were out there working, he'd stop by and talk to us and encourage the students. It was great. He would come into the garden where they were working and talk with them and encourage them. And we got him to take his picture with us. And it's very much face-to-face because everybody's walking by this site. Everything they do is exposed and seen. So it's kind of like they're on display in the midst of what they're doing. And that's face-to-face too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.